Welcome back, everybody. Today in this tutorial we're going to go on and update and add to our cockpit here. So for starters, I'm going to add some vents in the back. Now to do this we need the back flat, obviously, so grab all of these vertices, S, Y, 0, and make them flat. Now I want to go in and turn up the mean crease on it. There we go. Maybe not quite all the way. And then we'll take that, we'll extrude it, scale it down, and then we'll extrude it in some, make some vents in there, much like we did on the front. And then also on the back here, I want to add like openings for thrusters to come out of here some. So we'll grab this edge, or face, extrude it, scale it down, turn the mean crease to 0 there, because it had, it copied the one from there. And then we want to extrude it again, just move it in just a little bit, and then extrude it once more, and drag it in like that. So there we have some openings that we can put some tubes coming out of, as well as some ventilation back here. And also, even right now, the model is pretty low poly to some degree. So you can set the shading to smooth and even turn up your subdivision to 3 almost. And I think that looks really good. I'm going to leave it 2 here just so I don't have to worry about lag. So now we're going to go in and just make a couple little vents here. So the best way to do that, I think, for this portion would be to grab right here, Shift D to duplicate it, SZ 0 so it's nice and flat, extrude it up, and then we just have to add a loop cut there to edge it out, and then I think we just keep them like that. Works for me. Control L, and then we'll just duplicate them exactly like how we had them, scaled in just a little bit. And we will also apply our black to it. So Shift D, Control 1 puts us at the back of it here. Shift D, and then I'm just using the Control drag to move them up in the same increments here. So Control, scale it in, and I think that will go one more like so. And then of course we can grab these inside faces as well as the back face and make those black as well. And inside there we have some issues. So to take care of that, what's happening is the subdivide is stretching. Basically it's stretching our texture here. Oh no, it's not. We just didn't select a bit. Never mind. So there we go, we have that all selected. Oop. Shift Z is redo, Control Z is undo. Using that. So there we go, we have some black bars, and then we'll probably add a light source in there towards the back, but we'll do that later. So you have that now. So over here I want to add, I don't know, you could probably add like super cool exhaust pipes, almost like classic cars might have running down the sides. But for this I'm just going to add a simple cylinder. So we'll go in, select that loop, Shift S, cursor to selection, Shift A, add in a cylinder. Now we want this to be super low because we have so many subdivides. So I think 8 is probably more than enough, especially if you decide to go for the 3 subdivisions. On your modifier, make sure that clipping is turned off because these 2 cylinders are clipping into each other. And we will also turn off cap fill. We will make it nothing, so it's just a flat one of those. And as you can see, the normals are messed up, so we'll go to flip normals, and those are flipped. So rotate it 90 degrees, scale it down. Oop, not all the way, just some of the way. Let's see, then we'll get this to just fit right in there here. It's coming in pretty good here. Scale that, and then we'll extrude this out again. Maybe make it point up a tad. Move it over. And then I want to just bring it in. Play with it some. Let's see here. We will actually just add a loop cut there. There we go. Try and make this a little bit more engine-y like. I don't want it melting through anything. Then we'll extrude it one more time, just out, and then we'll just fade it in some. It looks a little weird as a pipe here, so we will extrude it again just a little bit and drag it back inside here. And as you can see now it has a tube quality to it. And we'll just take this all, make it black again, Control L to select it, assign the black, and now we have a pipe coming out, and of course we can throw in, a light texture in there. We'll work on that later. Now, we need an area for the ropes to connect to, so, in here, they just kind of connect in the bottom. I just made a hole for them, and I think that we'll do about the same thing again, but I want to move them up a bit more. So we will just extrude again, just like how we added that hole back there. However, before we can do that, we'll undo that actually. We need to make sure it's the right size to match our thruster. So we'll bring that in. As you can see, it's clearly not. It's much, much smaller. So just scale it up till you get a size that you think is about right. Let's see here. A little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. There you go. And of course, you can feel free to, scale it in, elongate it, heighten it, whatever you want to do to make it yours. Go for it. So, setting up this thruster, I think the first thing that we need to do is to move the thruster itself over. So I'm going to go into top view, go into Z, and box select all of it, not the car, and then control click and move it over about 2 clicks. Then we can shift S, selection to cursor to center, shift S, selection to cursor, and then we can line this up correctly. So now we have to move in our cord to the bottom of this. So we go to that face that we wanted to add it to, cursor to selected, grab the end of this curve, shift S, selection to cursor, and then I also want to subdivide this at least once here, just so that way then I have some play with it to make it look like it's jutting in. This car here might actually be over a bit too much, but that's fine for now. So we will go in here. Now we have to make a hole that will fit that curve just fine. So we can scale this in. Scale it in again. Scale it back. And scale it in all the way. It's kind of at a weird angle, but that's just fine. Then we can go back into our line mode, and we can just stuff it in here. And then rotate it in there a bit more correctly. Also, if you want to, you can go ahead and you can fancy that up if you'd prefer. Add a thingamajig like this on there. But for now, I'm pretty okay with just a little hole here. And we'll widen this up here. The reason I'm okay with this is because very rarely do I showcase the bottom of this to much degree, so there's not a whole lot of point in adding in all the extra geometry and all the extra work to go into to make it perfectly. But if you plan to, do really cool overhead shots, then you very well may want to go in and add a whole bunch to it. So here we have that all set up. And then to duplicate it, you select everything, put cursor to center, Shift D, select everything, S, X, -1. Oops, sorry. Make the pivot point the 3D cursor, SX, -1. And that's how we duplicate it to the other side. You can see now this is quite a bit off at the moment. They're really splayed out a lot. So I'm going to go back in here, select all of this. I'm not going to select the rope though, because it's easier to position it back onto the thruster than it is to put it back onto the car. So right about there is good, just one space away. Go into our gripper thing here. Period key will zoom you in on the selected object. Cursor to selected. And then again we just go on the curve here, grab this in, selection to cursor. And now if we go in and select everything, Shift D, period, or center to cursor to center, SX -1. Here we have these on the other side. And that looks pretty good here. The next thing we're going to add in are hooks on the geometry. So what a hook is it allows you to control the rope. So like armatures for a curve. So how we do this is we hit Control H, hook to new object, and then when we go out here, we can grab this empty and we can move it on the curve. So we want to add one to each of these points. So Control H, hook to new object, and then Control H, hook to new object. So now what we do with these hooks though is that we take them and we have to go through and we have to parent everything together first. So what it does is parenting, it parents it to the second object you select. So I want this to be parented to this top pit, Control P, parent to object, and then I want these fan blades to be parented to this center. I want this cone to this center, and then of course I want these ropes parented to that object, and then I think I want this bit parented to the thruster itself as well. And now when we move this thruster, everything moves. Now the best way to do it is to parent this hook to this object. Now when we move this, the rope moves along with it. And then we do the exact same thing here with this hook, Control P to object. And now when this object moves, that moves, and this. And this we're going to move into rigging, and I also want to parent this hook to this hook. So now this will all move independently, so you can see how they work like actual ropes. And we're going to rig this more advanced, obviously, here in the next part. But this is just to go through and do it. So we have to do the same thing here. Control H, hook to new object. Control H, hook to new object. And we have to go through and reset all of our parents in this one. So we can just select all of these. Control P. Object, and this is all those parented. P object, this one to that, this to that, this, then we want this to that, and finally this hook to this object. So there we have it. All of our ropes, everything is set up, as well as minor details. And again, I encourage you to go through and work on adding, making this your own, maybe adding in some more vents on the side or something. Go a bit crazy with it, have fun. So in the next part, we will work on rigging everything together. Alright, thank you.